I'm reflecting on how it's traditionally been hard for me to spend time alone, and how I've always craved being with other people. And there's this like wiggy thing that I'm realizing by doing this YouTube, spending more time with myself, self-entertaining, self-soothing, talking to myself, that I'm actually starting to really enjoy it. Like really enjoy it. And simultaneously being with other people is like seesawing the other way. And I'm not enjoying being around other people as much. Like right now, I'm by myself. And there's no one I can think of that I would want to just like go home and have a prolonged conversation with. It's like it's really starting to seesaw in the favor of wanting to be alone. And so I'm wondering, theorizing, was I always like this? Was I actually like secretly scared of the fact that when I fully embrace being alone, I'm not going to come back from that? It's like abstaining from sex and then just becoming asexual. Once you give something up, then you just like completely lose the desire for it. Kind of feels like that at the moment. Maybe it's just the pendulum swinging, and being alone is this like newfound exciting thing that I'm just like really leaning into, but eventually it'll kind of resolve naturally in the middle. I think the only person in the world that I would want to talk to right now is actually just my ex. It's like the only person that I'd actually want to talk to. Like I think about like the last girl I was seeing, like fuck no, there's nothing I want to talk to her about. A lot of my friends, to varying degrees, it's like, yeah, potentially, nah, not really. But I just don't really have the energy for it. I just don't give a fuck about what they think I should give a fuck about a lot of the time. And then other friends who generally I do give a fuck about what they give a fuck about. But for one reason or another, they've kind of disappointed me recently. I feel very disappointed by a lot of people. So I've just kind of lost energy to initiate interactions. And then my family. I'm staying with my family at the moment, as I've mentioned, and I'm just not interested in connecting with them. I don't feel very connected to them. It's just so shallow by the numbers, like a fucking hell. Just very dry conversations. I mean, it's always been the case. Are they dry kind of people? I don't know. A little bit, kind of normies. They'd probably admit that. They're normies, picked a nice little 9-to-5 path and don't really spare many thoughts to what it all means. It gets real wanky when you think about it like that. Not that I'm some big intellectual, but I used to like, hello. I used to assert myself more conversationally. So I would really be like forthcoming with my opinions and like really trying to drive interesting conversations. Well, at least conversations I thought was interesting. And over the last 2 days, I feel like they've tried to pull me into these fucking conversations, man. Like conversations about like religion, politics or whatever. And it's just kind of like, it's not really me anymore, or it's not me with you. You know what I mean? Like it could be me with the right people. But I was just like, I said to him today, I was like, since when am I the master of conversations? You know what I mean? It's like, Austin, surely you'll have something to say about this. And it's like, no, actually I don't, to you. Like I just don't. I just find it very uninteresting. Everyone's like, yeah. And I'm like, bro, can we just talk about the political and economic state of the world right now? Bro! It's a bit like that. But no, not really. I don't want to talk about the political and economic state of the world with most people because they don't fucking, I don't know. What is it? Come on, Austin. Articulate yourself. I think a lot of people got very comfortable in the path they chose and they never really learned how to embrace discomfort in an ideological sense, ideological discomfort. So I had to pick what they were. My dad, he was born Christian, so Catholic, whatever. And then eventually he was like, no. he was exposed to different information. He's like, no, that's not what I want. And then since then, he's just gone all the way. So he had like one pivot, which is like really admirable. It's one more than a lot of people. But since then, since he chose that path, like he probably had like a little 6 months of dissonance or like a few weeks of dissonance where he's like, shit, which path, which one do I go? And like that is what I've lived my whole life in on purpose. That dissonance, that like, but it doesn't feel like dissonance anymore. It feels like being able to fucking use your brain. It feels like being able to use critical thinking abilities. You know, it's like you shouldn't be so married to these ideologies. And then so I can't engage with a lot of people because like they have married their path and they just cannot be proven wrong. They can't stray. They can't talk about it without getting emotional. That's the other thing. I think that's another boundary I'm setting up. I have never, shouldn't say never, but in a long time, gotten so flustered in an intellectual debate that I've resorted to becoming personal. As a matter of fact, I can't think of one example. I've got a pretty good memory. Can't think of one example where I've done that. Where like, oh shit, they are challenging my worldview. I've got to go at them directly. You know, I've got to say something snarky. Oh, you really love to hear yourself talk, don't you? Oh, well, I guess you're always right then. Well, excuse me for trying to play devil. You know, I get real like snarky like that. Never do it. I always keep it on the topic because it's like good sportsmanship to me. That's like the intellectual jousting requires you to both kind of agree to these unwritten rules of like, we're going to keep it about the jousting, we're going to keep it about the sport. You know, you shake hands and you compete. You don't get all personal after the game. And a lot of people don't understand that. They're not used to conflict. So as soon as their worldviews are challenged, all they know to do is respond with violent communication. Not violent actions, but it's violent communication. Just like fighting words. Them's fighting words, partner. So I say all that to say, I think fundamentally I've lost trust and energy for people that have done that with me in the past, which is a fuck ton of people. So many people have like gotten personal with me over intellectual jousting. And I used to have a scarcity mindset. So even when people would show me that level of disrespect, I'd be like, damn, but everyone's disrespectful. So I guess I just need to put up with it. And I guess it's just how people are. And maybe it is a byproduct of me embracing being alone. But I say all this to circle back around and say, when my dad and my mum tried to pull me into intellectual jousting, I was just like, well, who made me the master of conversation? Like, I'm not doing this with you right now. Because I got in touch with what it felt like to be disrespected by them. So many times. And I essentially said, I'm not doing this with you. You know, you don't have that privilege. You don't have the privilege of finding out what I really think. Because that's reserved for people that can take it. Right, you get to find out what I really think if you're the sort of person that can actually have those conversations. But yeah, it's an abuse of my trust. It's an abuse of my energy. It's an abuse of my well-being. And I don't fuck with it. I don't fuck with it, man. I'm also fortunate enough to have people in my life that are kind of open-minded, intellectual, and able to critically think enough to have these conversations and never feel like they need to get personal. It's such a sign of low intelligence. I can't beat you intellectually, so I'm going to make you emotional. Low intelligence, normie, fucking, yeah, dude. Some people, it's just what they are. And I can't help them. I'm not here to help them, actually. I'm here to help myself in the time being. Once I help myself, then I can figure out who I want to help. It's really what I want to do with my life. I want to become so stable in myself that I can be a rock for other people. But only the people that I choose. Not just anyone. Not just whoever's in close proximity to me. Not just who, society say I have an obligation to help. No. I am building a foundation which will help the next generation. I genuinely believe that. A foundation in like open-mindedness, in thought, in intellect, foundation in ideas. That's what I'm building. And that will be a rock that people can hitch themselves to, anchor themselves to, and find stability being in my presence. I mean, it already happens to a degree. And you actually see it happens more the less willing you are to help people. People want to be helped. People really want to know what you think. People really want, your rockness, your your firmness, your stability. People want that because they're all sheep, man. They're all headless sheep running around, scared, looking for another idea to make them feel comfortable because they don't know how to exist in the space in between. See, I live in the space in between. I always have. I don't feel a need to pick a religion type shit. Like, even me saying type shit, that doesn't belong here. It's not fucking Future lyrics. But I talk like that because I'm not married to being the next white boy rapper. I'm not married to being some intellectual conversational master. I just am everything and nothing all at once. And fluid. Because that's what a real fucking human being looks like. That's what you would look like too if you weren't so impeded by what everyone else expects you to be. You would just be fluid. Because being a human is not a noun. You're not a thing. You're a process. You're a verb. You're an action. A human is something that unfolds over 70 to 90 years. So trying to marry yourself to a concrete idea is just fucking redundant. It doesn't make sense. So yeah, I say type shit. And then I'll go home and watch the footy. Then I'll engage with some intellects. Because that's what a fluid being in motion does. So anyway, I'm sure a lot of people are uncomfortable by that. And that's okay. That's why they look for people like me to anchor themselves onto. And I'm happy to be that. But again, for the right people. And I'm getting more selective. A lot of people missing the boat. I read this thing the other day where it's like a lot of guys out there low-key hope that they could win millions of dollars and would give like half of it to the first girl they fell in love with. Even though they're not together anymore. Even though she's moved on like 5-10 years ago. Like a lot of guys are still like know that they would give like everything they could to that girl. And I kind of feel like that, man. Again, circling all the way back around. I'm on the way home now. Who's the one person that I would like openly, happily talk to? Is that person. I want to find out what she thinks. I want to know how her mind works. I'm actually interested. I'm interested in being of service. I'm interested in allowing her to anchor herself to me so that I can help her in whatever capacity required. And it just so happens that capacity, I believe, is me staying the fuck away from her. So that's what I'm doing. I'm living and let living. See, if it was all about me, I would have contacted her by now. I would have attempted to seek some kind of approval or some kind of closeness, from her. But that's growth, yeah. That's growth. Realizing that, the best way you can be of service is by leaving people the fuck alone. So yeah, I'm going to continue to invest in myself. I'm going to continue to be selective with what energy I accept into my life. And I firmly believe that these foundations I am building will be of deep, deep, deep service to the next generations.